Go ahead, what would you say?
Hi, I'm Sarah.
Hi.
I'm doing a master's in social work today. Could not read or write until I was 9 years old. And education was not something, this is so annoying.
If we take a break from that.
And education was not something that was important to my family. When I got accepted to college, I wanted to do something that would look nice on my wall. Not social work, obviously, but physical therapy, nursing, teacher, something I thought, made me sound smart. When I got to Gayle, I got into the social work program, and I know that I'm not going to make a lot of money. I know I can make a lot of change, and that's something that's important to me.
How is that background going to change the way, not change the way, but just affect the way you are a leader?
The background of reading and writing?
That and changing your mind between what sounds like something that the society may have valued, but you wanted to do something different. I'm sorry, I'm putting you on the spot and I don't mean to. I wondered if your background that you've just described affects your values in leadership.
It does influence my values, but it's what's important to me today. That's what happened in the past.
So you're going to do what's right for you now. Yay. Anybody else want to share? Yes.
Okay, when I grew up, I was in the middle. I think I was number 4 in our family. But I was so smart. I knew how to read and write before I left home. And then I had a brother who was the only son my mother had. And in Kenya, those days when I grew up, they favored boys over girls. So every time I was ahead of my brother. And when we reached high school, there was even a chance to go to higher because there was not enough money. And I felt so bad about it because I was smarter than him. So I got married when I was very young, but all along I really wanted to go to school. So when I got a chance, we came to the United States as refugees. And I had 2 grown-up kids, 18 and 19, and I went to Regency to sign up to take them to school. So there was a lady next to me, and she kept on filling out the form, and she ended up signing it. And I signed for my 2 kids, and this girl told me, "You can't sign for your kids because you said one is 18, one is 19." And I said, "But the other lady has signed for her kid," and she said, "No, she's coming to school." And I said, "Can I come to school?" And she said, "Yes." So I got the card form, and then I filled it out, and even paid that time. And when I went home and I told my children I was going to school, they couldn't believe. They laughed and laughed. And so last year, I graduated from Brand, and my mother came for my graduation. And she was so happy to see me graduate. I was the first one to go to university in my family. And so this year, my mother came to visit me. And she told me, "I've always wanted to go to school." So yesterday, I signed her up to go to school. She's so happy she's going to start school.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, 72.
What a story. Oh my gosh. Well, you just took a leadership role with your mom right there.
Yeah, because I think she now realizes that it's not a boy to go to school. So I believe she feels guilty that she denied me the chance to go to school, but I'm so blessed. I came to the United States that I had access to go back to school. And then because of that guilt, and she never went to school because she could not go also. She was a woman. In those days, women never went to school. And now she believes there's a chance, so she's going back to school at 72.
Wow, well, that's very interesting. Thanks for sharing that. Do you think when you're in a leadership position, I'm trying to get you in my exercise here, when you're in a leadership position, do you think those experiences have influenced the way you lead?
Definitely, because I'm becoming a role model for my children. I have daughters who are in college now because I went to college. And I have convinced so many kids who there are some, I believe there are some traditional values. Some people put traditional values in women, like, I don't know how to say this, that the girls marry when they're very young. There's a girl in my neighborhood whose marriage was already arranged, and through my going to school and using my kids, she refused to get married, so she's continuing school now.
So you recognize when you're with people who are in a situation similar to what you had, that you have a role.
Yes.
That's cool. That's very cool. Anybody else want to talk? We're going to run out of time here in just a second. So let me move on for one last thing then. I said that I would talk about work experiences. And this is shorter, and it may also mean that the students in the room have a little less experience to think about this from, but I'll go through this anyway. Best thing in work is that you can observe all kinds of leaders when you're starting out or when you are a leader and see different ways of approaching the work. You can learn what not to do as well as what to do, and both are valuable. In the past, I was mostly surrounded by traditional views of leadership, those stereotypes where the boss was aloof and stern, demanding, scary, very competitive, non-negotiable. You know, you got the stereotype. Usually males, white, heterosexuals, Anglo-American, that pretty effectively cut out a viewpoint that you could conjure up in your mind about a leader who was anything different. A lot of people talked about women in politics when women run for the president of the United States. We talk about their role issues with this kind of thing. When we think of an authoritative person who is a minority, we don't have nearly the number of role models as you were mentioning just a second ago, or of people of authority who don't overstep something about the gender role expectations that makes people mad. Hillary Clinton is probably the very easiest one to see this in. Just so many people have such trouble with her. And I don't know if it's just about gender roles, but it always comes out, you know, woman this or that. Barack Obama is facing lots of stuff now because of his race, as well as lots of other differences of opinion. So there, you know, we don't have a lot of models that we just automatically forget about those inherent human characteristics and accept them as the leader they are, unless we're looking at that tradition. And that's why so many times what turns people around toward leadership is seeing that there's a problem, you know, is experiencing something like that. Another big influence on me when I was growing up professionally, if you want to put it that way, in academics, was that I prefer collegiality in that environment of shared governance that we have in higher education, where it is kind of flattened hierarchies, it is collegial. There is a need to make a decision at some point, but you also work with a lot of input and so on. I know that I prefer non-aloof, non-stern, non-punitive leaders, not because they're easier to work with, but frankly because they get more done when all the rest of the people come engaging with that leader to move forward on a project. I think that this is another place where it's possible for a leader with those values. In my case, they came from a number of areas you can probably recognize now as you've listened to some of my story. But there are others who will think, unless you're ruthless, you don't have much respect for them.